speak.
And then...
Were the reporters always with you?
Always, without
You were
fail.
never privately
Except
with
one
them?
time. Can I ask you a question? I heard, somebody told me very early on, that before their confrontation, the
Excuse me.
notorious, or anyway, well exploited confrontation between the mayor and Mr. Ciampa, that the mayor and Mr. Ciampa and one or two others retired to a room.
Well, I'm not sure at what point this took place, but while it was after really the personality problems between the mayor and Mr. Ciampa got so keen, we felt that there was still an opportunity to resolve this thing, very quickly, and we suggested to him that a subcommittee be set up, a couple of people representing the city and a couple of people representing the union, maybe get together outside of this thing and see what they could come up with. And a very unique thing took place. We sort of set some guidelines, and you're right, the press was not present during that subcommittee meeting.
Or during the discussion about the subcommittee.
Oh, but during the discussions about the subcommittee, it was crystal clear what its function was to be. I proposed the thing to the mayor and said that it may be better that maybe four of us do get together.
Was the press there then?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that the guidelines would be that allow us to go back and work on the differences. If we can come up with something that's agreeable to the mayor and agreeable to the union, Mr. Ciampa, then that would be implemented. If it was agreeable to the mayor and Mr. Ciampa with them not participating, which meant that we had to bring the work of the committee to each of them,
Right.
then it had to be rehashed or whatever was going to be done to it. If there was nothing concrete come out of it, and even if we agreed on some things and disagreed on others, we would just simply say that the meeting was non-productive and forget it because nothing had been gained or lost. And we eventually wound up with agreement on this. We discussed that particular guideline for about an hour. And then we went into the coat room or meeting room off the mayor's office. And we worked on it for about 3 or 4 hours. And we had,
Who are we now? Can you recall?
Mr. Gennady,
Yes.
Who was, I believe, the city attorney, and Mr.
Yes.
Haley, Myron
Myron Alley, an
Uh,
assistant at
right.
city attorney.
One of our staff people, Mr. Joe Paisley,
Yes.
and myself,
The four of you.
the four of us. And we took up the issues that were involved, the question of recognition, the grievance procedure, payroll deduction of union dues, and one or two other items. And strangely enough, in the subcommittee room, we had boiled everything down to agreement and had actually reached almost a tentative agreement on the question of the deduction of union dues. And it was about that point that the mayor came in to check to see where we were, I guess. And he just came apart at the seams. He just literally went apart because apparently he did not believe in it and felt that Mr. Gennady and Mr. Halley would not involve themselves in that kind of thing. But we had sat down and tried to reason and rationalize and what have you, to boil it down to something. And we had reached basic agreement, at least things that I personally felt that was acceptable as far as the union was concerned. And I assumed that what they were doing was only agreeing to that they personally felt would be acceptable to the mayor. But he blew the whole thing out of the water. So we said, okay, fine, nothing's won or lost. Under the guidelines that we set down, we will simply say to the press that nothing was accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the mayor didn't trust us, and we had no reason to, we hadn't gained anything, so we had no reason to lie about it. So we said, okay, you can make the statement. You tell the press that nothing was gained. So this was night about 1:30, 2 o'clock. He went out before the TV cameras and the writers and what have you and said that nothing was accomplished through the meeting. And that was it. So we all went home. So the next morning, he went to the news media and he said that the only thing that the union is concerned about is the deduction of union dues. And he says, he goes through this whole thing and he discusses all the issues in the meeting. He says that the only thing that we wanted resolved was the check-off of union dues. He didn't mention the other items that had been resolved. He said the only thing that the union pressed for was the dues check-off. And that was when he made this a central issue involving the strike. And what, had dawned on us then that we were not dealing with a person of good faith, because we had made no public statements whatsoever. And he exposed not only the meeting that was held, but assumed sort of a tactical advantage by exposing it first. Now, that wasn't so bad, but later on in the morning, we had sort of overcome our shock that he would do this. We had a meeting planned, so we attended the meeting, even though we had saw the morning paper. And we were still trying to work on the issues, and he waited very patiently until we had gone through maybe an hour or so of conversation. And he said, well, if there's nothing new that you have to say, then I'm prepared to read to you a statement prepared by the city with reference to our position. And this is when he said they were breaking off negotiations, they're going to commence hiring people, and so on and so forth. Well, that was in the morning, just prior to noon, if I recall, because we had a membership meeting set at noon.